Hey guys, and welcome back to another Unfiltered Gamer board game review. And today's game up on the tabletop is RoboRally by Renegade Game Studios. This is the 2023 version, which means it's the updated version. There are many previous versions for this game, and this is the latest one by Renegade. This is a 2 to 6 player game that takes roughly 45 to 90 minutes to play, and it's for ages 13 and up. And it's designed by Richard Garfield, the creator of Magic the Gathering. This is a classic game. A lot of modern gamers know this game and have seen this game and have probably even played this game. It's a game where you're going to be gaining a number of cards, programming these cards up to 5 times, and then in turn order, going from the first phase to the 5th, you'll be moving your robots. Kind of like those the old like 90s show where you had the little robots that go around hitting each other and trying to destroy each other's robots. That is what this game is on a board game. Throughout the game, as you program your robot, you're moving from checkpoint to reach the last one. And it's kind of a race. And while you're on this race, there are conveyor belts that will move around, energy spaces that you can gain bonuses, and danger spaces, along with the robots trying to shoot you and upgrade themselves to do better as they progress. Get to the end before any other robot does, and you win the game RoboRally. Let's talk about how to set the game up, how to play, and of course, my review. To set the game up, first decide how you'd like to play the game, beginner, intermediate, or advanced. There are a number of different tracks in the rulebook in the back, and you can select any of these tracks for any number of players. I have selected the basic course and added a bonus checkpoint, and so that is what I'll be showing you today. You'll take the starting line space, add energy cubes to the space discussed in the rulebook. Those are spaces you don't start on, and then players will have the opportunity later to place their robots down on the starting spaces here. Take the game board or game boards in the rulebook and set them aside exactly as shown, placing them attached to the starting grid. So you will have a starting area, and then the areas on the board you'll have to reach checkpoint to, and add any checkpoints or advanced spaces in the game that will allow you to like respawn and whatnot. Set the upgrade deck after being shuffled aside, close to reach with all players, and the same will go for the damage deck, which will also be shuffled and placed within reach. And then each player is going to be assigned to them a robot board. Each robot board has a color and is identified by the color of robot and starting token associated, which you'll be placing down the start board. Take your draw deck, shuffle it up, it'll have a red color on it if you're playing red, or blue if you're playing blue, and then you'll also gain 3 upgrade cards from the deck. Just draw 3, these are the cards you will start with that you'll hopefully be able to upgrade your robot throughout the game with, if you don't particularly want to draw any more. And then the youngest player is going to get this priority player token. Then every player will have an energy cube that they'll set to 3 on their board, and they're also going to have a checkpoint marker that they'll place on the start space. After that, the game's ready to go. Go ahead and take this round sequence board and give it to the player who's least knowledgeable, or if everyone needs it, place it somewhere within reach and eyesight of every player that needs it, and begin the game RoboRally. The game RoboRally is played in a sequence of rounds, and each round has 4 phases. And you'll go through each one of these phases, and then restart the round and continue through the phases once again until one robot reaches the last and final checkpoint, ending their sequence on that space, and thusly winning the game. We'll talk about the first of the phases, and that will be the upgrade phase. Now, everyone starts with 3 energy, and when you end your turn on an energy space, you can gain additional energy. And you can choose to spend an energy to draw an upgrade card if you would like, and you could also spend an energy or energies to play these cards out, these upgrade cards. You get 1 upgrade card per round. And they're going to have a cost on the upper left-hand side, whether it be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and each of them has a cost associated with its power. So a recharge will give you 3 energy, but it doesn't cost any energy, and it's only temporary, so you can only use it once. And that's why it's so cheap, so you can hopefully use it more later. Or magnetic, it's only going to cost you 1 energy, it's also only temporary, so you can only use it once, and so it'll give you a specific thing, like whenever you register a move via a card, you can move with a player. So whenever one robot moves, you can move once as well. And of course, those are all the red cards, which are the temporaries, but there are also yellow ones. These are permanent effects, like drifting. After resolving a rotate left card, you may move 1 space forward. And so this is a card that will stick with you throughout the entire game. So buying these cards is important, and upgrading your robot is important as well. You may only ever have 3 total temporary and 3 total permanent upgrades on your robot at any time, and if you'd like to get rid of one for a new one, you can do so at any point as long as you can pay the cost and add the upgrade. But remember, only 1 upgrade can be added per round. Once everyone has had a chance to buy an upgrade and or place an upgrade down, you'll move on to the next phase, which is the programming phase. During the programming phase, you're going to have this draw deck of cards, and you're going to draw 9 of these cards in total, and you will select 5 of them to create your sequence of cards. This is going to be your movement through the game. It's programmable movement, which means that you will program the first move you'd like to make, the second, third, fourth, and fifth. And hopefully, if God willing, you are able to place them all correctly and nobody is able to mess with you, you will move to where you want to go at the last and final phase. Now, I could say I'd like to move 3 for the first round, and then I'd like to rotate left for the second, and then I'd like to move 1 for the third, and then I'd like to gain an energy for the fourth, and finally I would like to move 2 more spaces. And then I would have all 5 of my phases complete for the next phase, which is the activation phase. And everyone is going to do that. They'll draw their cards, choose 5 to play, placing them all 1 face down at a time, and then you'll play any non-damaging program cards still in your hand into the discard pile. So any cards you have left over that is not damaged, which are these nasty cards here, the green and blue ones, you will discard to the discard pile, leaving you with just 5 cards, these programmed cards that you have now to play. And so everyone should do that. And I'll just go ahead and set these 5 here. There you go. Next, after that is the activation phase. So first is upgrades. Second is you're going to place down, you draw 9 cards, place 5 down and discard the rest that aren't damaged. And then now we're going to activate. Starting with the player who has the priority token, you're going to flip over the first card in your row here, and everyone will do so. And the first player will act, then the player clockwise to the first player will act, and so on and so forth until everyone has done the first movement. Then everybody will flip over the second one, and rinse and repeat this until you get to the 5th and final. Now, how it works pretty simply is when you flip over your card and activate, you are going to then do what it says. Now, in this case here, it says move 3. I will take my red robot on my starting space and move 1, 2, 3 spaces. Then each other player will do the same. This player chooses to rotate right. We'll just say that this player chooses to move 3 spaces forward, and this player chose to move 2. Once everybody has moved in this phase here, then before we go to the second one, we are also going to enact unique things that will happen on the game board. So for instance, if you're on a conveyor belt, you'll move a number of spaces. The blue one will move you 2 spaces. And if you're on the blue one specifically, when you rotate, you will rotate your character, regardless of its position, in the rotation of the conveyor belt itself, whether it be clockwise or counterclockwise 1 tick. If you're on a green one, you're going to move 1 space forward. And there are other things that can happen too, like an energy space. If you're on there at the end of the activation, you will gain an energy. And there is a wide variety of other spaces for other different game boards. But specifically, that's how these guys work. And there's a priority as to how these move. I believe it is the blue conveyor belt goes first, then the green one, and then you're going to check to see if anybody gains energy. And finally, you're going to check to see damage. Now, each robot has a shot they fire in their direction that goes straight forward, and it goes all the way across the board up until it reaches another robot or a wall or something that blocks it. If you get hit by a robot, like in this case, green would be hitting me, I will draw a damage card and put it into my discard pile, unless it is a blue card. If that is the case, then I'm going to take that card and place it in the slot of the phase, and then I'll activate it on the next round. I'll leave it face down up until the next round where I'll actually have to flip it over. These are cards that can kind of mess you up throughout the game when you place them face down. If it is not a blue card, so it's not like the Haywire card, then it's going to be a spam card, which is a card that you will read. It says place this card into the damage pile, discard pile, and so you'll do that, put it in the discard pile. And then when you draw it, you're going to have to, basically when you want to use it from your hand, you're going to have to discard the top, or flip over the top card of your library, and that will be the card you use as opposed to this one here. So it kind of gunks up your deck and then randomly gives you a card to utilize in the spot that you place it, that is from the top of your deck instead of this card itself. These are nasty cards. You do not want damage cards, but everybody will check to see if they get damaged. And it could be by the board itself, it's going to be by other players, and you'll also check upgrades. There might be bonuses to damage that you might receive due to somebody else's upgrade card. And so that's how the phases work. Everybody flips over the numbered phase, then in clockwise order they move. Then you check all the board effects to see if anything happens, conveyor belts and whatnot, and finally you check to see any player damaging abilities. Another thing to note too when moving is you will be able to move other players in specific spaces on the game board. So if you move forward on a space, you'll push another robot, and it's always important based on turn order how this works. Some spaces you cannot move a robot, maybe it's because there's a wall blocking them or the conveyor belt is too strong for them to be pushed on. And so you'll check to see whether or not you move another player or not. Sometimes you'll just get stuck and bump into another player and thusly hurt yourself. And otherwise it's pretty simple. The rest of the cards are pretty straightforward. There's one where you do an again, which means you do the previous phase's movement. So if you move 3 last turn, then this one you're going to move 3 again. Or rotate left, rotate right. There's ones that rotate you all the way back around 90 degrees or 180 degrees. And then there's also the ability to move backwards or move 1, 2, or 3 spaces forwards. And so this is what you're going to be using to program your robots. After you've done this 5 times, this is all during the first round, is you activate, do all the effects, then flip over the next one, activate, then do all the effects. All 5 times, all your cards will get discarded, and you're then going to move on to the end of round phase. And the end of round phase is when the 5th register has fully resolved, which is all 5 of these. The player holding the priority token passes to the player, clockwise. Place all face-up damage cards in your register into the discard pile, except for the ones that are the ones that you played because of these guys here. So if they're already face-up, they're good, but if they're face-down, you keep them there. Discard all program cards, leave all face-down cards in your registry, if any, which is what I'm talking about, the damaging effects, and then return to the upgrade phase unless the race has ended and start a new round. And you'll rinse and repeat this. The basic easy way to understand this game is you upgrade your robots, you place 5 cards down, then you activate all of them one at a time following all of the effects until the 5th register. Then everything basically gets discarded except for the nasty stuff, and you rinse and repeat until somebody reaches that final checkpoint. Will you get to the end in RoboRally? Find out if you'd like by checking out the game. RoboRally is probably one of, if not the first, programmable movement style board games. A programmable movement game is a game in which you'll have a number of cards, you'll make selections, place those selections down from left to right, and activate each one of them one at a time, going from left to right along with other players. And thusly, this leaves a lot of room for chaos. Just because you'd like to move 3 spaces forward, you might not do that. Maybe the player before you moved 2 spaces forward and blocked your path. And there is now no way for you to push them based on the specific location on the game board, and thusly you're stuck. Or perhaps you end up going onto a conveyor belt, and thusly you move 2 spaces, and so the next register, while you did want to move 2 forward, you're now moving 2 forward in the wrong direction. So there's a lot of ways in which this game can you have these best laid plans, and then all of a sudden everything is gone and you're basically screwed, and you have to try and work with what you've got. The more damage you take in RoboRally, the more dangerous it is to be able to completely finish this game because you will use these damaging effects to not go where you want to go. The spam cards are cards you have to basically hold in your hand as long as you can until you want to play them down because they start to gunk up your hand. And then when you play them down and they activate, now they're drawing you random cards from the top of your deck to add to your program, which in most cases is going to hinder or harm you and kind of mess you up along with possibly other players. And then of course, the other type of damaging effects that can happen to you are the ones that instantly go into the slot of the activation phase you're in for next round. And now you have to flip those over on the next round and also kind of prepare your program for that thing to happen. So normally you might have just wanted to move 3 times forward, but your 3rd movement is now moving to the left. So your 4th will have to be moving you move to the left once, then you can make the 4th move to the right, and then you can move your 1. And so there is a kind of cost to that. Each phase represents you moving farther on this board here, getting from one checkpoint to the next, And so whenever anything happens, not just even on the game board itself, but damaging effects to you happen, you have to prepare for those moments. Another thing to note too is that you have to end your activation phase on these specific locations here. And if you don't, let's say that your card moves you there, but then it's the next player's turn and their card pushes you off, the phase isn't over until everybody takes their phase. Once that is done and everybody moves based on their the different conveyor belts and whatnot, then we check to see if you actually make it. And so there's potentials where everybody thinks they're going to make that specific location, but only really one player ever does because of people pushing each other off or people falling into like traps along the way. And so there are little things there that can happen as well. Upgrade cards also are basically temporary or permanent effects based on the background of the border here. Yellows are permanent and reds are the temporary ones. One-time effects are useful but can only be used once, whereas the permanent effects are expensive but can be used throughout the entire game. Instead of firing your robot's main laser, which is the one that just shoots indefinitely forward until it hits a wall or another robot, now you can pay 1 energy to fire a mini howitzer. And if you do, it deals 2 damage to the target robot, then it pushes it 1 space in the direction of the firing. So now you're not only just shooting that person, maybe you're like this, and you shoot this person, now not only are they taking 1, but they'll take 2 damage and move on to this board here, which can cause some problems along the way. Maybe they had a rotate card they wanted to use, but now this conveyor belt pushes them to the side as opposed to where they want to be. And so there are a lot of unique special upgrades and effects that can take place in this game. These are all really useful and pretty powerful. Some may benefit you more than others. If you're not actually actively looking to attack people and having an attack installed onto your robot, it might not help you as much. You have to prepare for whatever it is you upgrade on your robot. Another thing to note too is energy is in a short supply here. Mainly you'll be getting energy from these little spaces on the game board when you end your activation there, and you have to actively pursue those spaces to gain the energy, and you'll only gain 1, and you only start with 3. So realistically speaking in a game, if you pull a mini howitzer, you might not get another card until you land on the space, spend the energy to draw a card, then you draw this guy here, and it costs 2. Now you have to hit 2 more of those spaces. So you have to be very careful with your upgrades throughout the game. All the robots are the same. There is no unique aspects to the robots. At some point, I would really like to see a remastering of RoboRally, adding in unique effects, unique robots, and additional things on the board that can function or function similar to the conveyor belts that are just attached to the game board, maybe things that are offset the game board. This is the classic RoboRally. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing really new to this game that has been added other than the quality of the game. You now have beautiful miniatures that are painted miniatures. They all have a little pointed space directing where they're facing. And you also can be adding these cool little energy cubes and quality cards. The only thing that's probably less super quality, which I think is just like the same as the old one, is the player boards. I wish these were double thick and had spaces to place your energy. That's not the case. It's just kind of a flimsy piece of paper. But minus that, everything here is great. The artwork looks great, the quality of the miniatures is wonderful, the nice thickness of the boards is good, and this will last you quite some time. I really like RoboRally. It's one of those weird games where if I don't get angry in a game of RoboRally, I would be really surprised. I always find some way to get my butt torn off in this game. I always lose RoboRally, first of all. My plans never go to fruition, and typically speaking, I take a boatload of damage. There's a lot of pain and suffering that can be induced in this game, and there's also a lot of fun whenever you successfully are able to activate and program your robot correctly and nobody gunks you up. Could also be a fun game where if you actively are looking to do some damage to people. Maybe you're not looking to actively get there first necessarily, you only need to get to the end. So as long as everybody else is so gunked up they can't make it, you can slowly progress your way, picking up energy and doing damage to other people along the way until you win. Now, obviously smaller maps will require you to be a lot quicker. There's a lot less stuff you can get and a lot less stuff that's going to interact with you. And then the larger maps take longer, first of all, and also have a potential for things to happen to you along the way. And so you have to kind of decide your strategy based on the size of the map, how many players are playing the game, and how far along they are to getting to where they need to be. Now, this game here, like I said, is something you really have to think about when it comes to understanding programmable movement. If you don't like the idea of programming something and having it go haywire, kind of like Galaxy Trucker, you're not going to like this game. I can see a lot of people getting very frustrated with this game, very upset with their plans getting disrupted, and getting actively upset at other players. This is not a nice game, this is a mean game. This is on the level of like Cutthroat Cavern style mean, not only because you're going to mess yourself up even with your perfect plan because you'll forget something, maybe you forget a conveyor belt or whatnot, but you're also not going to be preparing for what other players are going to do and how they're going to block you off. And then on top of that, the damage that will be dealt to you, which then these cards are going to mess you up throughout the game. So be prepared for that. Understand that there's going to be some aggressive aspects to the game, even when it's not intentional, even when you unfortunately just draw a damage card, etc., etc. So that's the main thing I would caution players, especially who do not know what RoboRally is or how it's played, to understand that this is a programmable movement game. You're never going to get the program you want, and typically speaking, something bad is always going to happen to you at one point or another. Falling off the cliff here, which is off the game board, is dangerous. It's how you can die, basically, which happened to me 3 times my last game I played. And you're going to have to reposition yourself back on the game board on the next round. So you lose all the phases. You take 2 damage, and then you have to go back onto this green checkpoint here. You position yourself, and then you use the activation to move. You can't stay here. You have to actually move. Otherwise, you'll get pushed. You'll get bumped in the direction of the arrow, which is almost never good. Never. And that being said, I think that pretty much covers the entire game. It's high quality. This is the remastered version of 2023 Renegade Game Studios, and it looks good, feels good. It is exactly as nostalgic as the original is. The modernness of the game holds. This still feels like a modern, I don't feel like this is like outdated or anything like that. This is still a solid game. If you bring somebody who's new to board games and they've played some of the more recent ones but never tried this, they're not gonna be like, oh, this is old game, old mechanics. No, it is still gonna feel very fresh and fun for them. Only thing that the caution is the possible anger that you will send your opponents away or they'll send on themselves. So just be aware of that with RoboRally. But if you don't mind that, or in fact if you do like that, there's a lot of cases people like that. This is probably the only one game that actually does frustrate me, and I'll play it if somebody asks me to. It's a game that I know is really good, but I'm so bad at it that it's frustrating, right? And so I'm putting this on a recommended list, but it's recommended for people who like this style of game. I'll play it with you if you ask, but I probably won't just bring it up on my own just because I'm so terrible at it and just because I cannot, for the life of me, program anything correctly in this game, and it always ends in tears. And it's such a weird thing to say, like, I don't like it, but also I know it's so good, right? This is a fun game, and there's a lot of things to love about it. So it's one of those case-by-case basis, and I'm curious, actually, the main thing I'm curious about in this video is, if you've played this game, let me know in the comments. Help people decide if this is something that they should pick up, if who would like this type of game, and that kind of thing. I think it's for people who like aggressive style games, people who like the programming and seeing their things come to fruition, and people who do not mind having a mess up here or there or pretty much everywhere. Overall though, RoboRally is a recommended game, but just beware, okay? And it's something I'm not going to play with you most times. Thank you guys for watching another Unfiltered Gamer board game review for the game RoboRally. This is a Richard Garfield game and Renegade Game Studios' newest edition. If you're interested in playing the game, there's a link down below in the description where you can go ahead and pick this game up. I also believe there's some online version of the game too, and if I see that, I'll post that down below in the description. And I really do appreciate you guys taking a look. And please do in the comment section, let me know if you've played this game before. Help other people decide what type of game this is for, what your pros and cons are. I'm curious. Hit the subscribe button if you're interested. If you'd like to see more of our videos here, you can like, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. We do really greatly appreciate it. And on Sundays, we do a live stream play of board games. In fact, just like this one. In fact, we did one of these this last week. Sadly, the video was going black because I don't know, the internet here was having an issue, so it was like periods of like 2 or 3 seconds. Every like 10 minutes they would go black, which is really frustrating. But if you want to watch a little bit of a preview of how that game is played, this game is played, then that's the best way to do it. You can see me get completely demolished. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I look forward to having a RoboRally with you guys next time. But only like once every few months.